It is Friday. Friday. Thank God it's Friday. August 14th, 2020. And this is the Pro and Con Show, and I am your host, Michael James Ott. As always, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. So, trying to convince all of us to be better citizens, to be more involved. And one of the things that is important, and probably the most important thing for all of us to do, is try to ferret out the truth. And that's challenging these days because there are so many, in some ways, challenging and not, okay? There are so many sources of information now available to us. When I was, 20 years old, there were major networks like CBS and NBC, and then there were papers. There were newspapers across the country, and but still, you're talking about dozens of potential sources of the news. And back in the day, they were fairly well regulated. Actually, the FCC would say, okay, you have to do these things as a public service. So they weren't trying to make money, while the newspapers were trying to make a little bit of money. They weren't really trying to make money on the news. They were basically like the major networks. They were mandated, because they could make money on various game shows and daytime dramas and all this other stuff. The FCC would say, okay, we're going to let you do those things, but by virtue of us licensing you and allowing you to broadcast, you also have to provide this service. And the service was the news. And what was the news? Well, the news back then and the news today, the true news, is still the same. It's who, what, where, when, and occasionally, when it's obvious, why and how. Okay, those last two, when it's obvious, you can say those things. Why and how. So, for example, a truthful news story would be there is a huge weather event in Oklahoma. Various cameras, reporters, citizens captured a tornado. Here it is, ripping through this town in Oklahoma. Here's video of it, okay? And so the who, well, it's the people of this town in Oklahoma. Where? Well, the location of the town. When? Oh, Saturday night at approximately 11 p.m. Who, what, when, where? Gosh, I hate it when this. So the who, the what, okay, bad weather. The where, the when, all right? And then the how is all this destruction? Well, clearly there was a tornado. Clearly, and why the tornado? Well, because in the summer months you have this buildup of energy in the atmosphere, and it starts churning, and at certain times, if the conditions are right, you get a tornado. Okay, so in those cases you could provide that. But there's so many other things where the how and the why, it's up to speculation and significantly more investigation before you would know. So you could only reliably report the who, the what, the where, and the when. So, number one about the truth, the who, the what, the where, and the when. Okay? And I mention this over and over and over and over and over again in my videos. The who, the what, the where, the when. These are the things that are the truth. These are the things you should be looking for in whatever source of information comes at you. And then anything beyond that, be very skeptical about what it is, because, and it's all kinds of things like, you'll start saying, well, you'll see the thing will get thrown into a panel of so-called experts, and then the question will be asked, well, what do you think the who, the what, the where, and the when? What do you think the truth? How will it affect like the future of the Republican Party, or the future of this baseball player, or whatever? It goes into speculation, and the reason is that it's so easy now to broadcast information. You don't need special licensing or anything like that. You can just broadcast because of the internet. And so there are dozens, if not hundreds, maybe even thousands of different channels of information that are available to people. Well, actually, it is thousands, maybe millions. And and those different channels now, because it's easy to be done, they can be made and with targeted audiences, and they can, through the miracle of algorithms and stuff, they can target certain people, and they can send information in a certain way, and you see it all the time. And how this works, if you've ever shopped online at all, and let's say one day you decide you're going to look for a bicycle, so you go online, you're looking at bicycles. Okay, well, what you'll notice is suddenly over the next days, if not weeks, you will get constant little ads and stuff like that about bicycles, because the internet knows, the people that run these different organizations, they know that you are looking at bicycles, and they're going to keep trying to help you find one, which is like everything, pro and con, right? Well, the same thing for information. If they see that you're reading certain things, following certain organizations, whatever, then they can start feeding you more information that plays on your leanings a little bit, and they can solidify your position and direct you into a place that you probably shouldn't be, and you're not in control of it anymore. Basically, you're being, by the presentation of the information, you're not seeing the truth. You think you're seeing the truth, you're not seeing the truth. And that brings me to why you should look at multiple streams of information. And I've talked about the Huffington Post and CNN and NPR and Fox News and Breitbart. And I look at all 5 of those on a regular basis, not just because I do this show and I sometimes talk about how those 5 different streams of information treat a particular news story, but because you get the truth, okay? And the truth, sometimes I read things on, actually on all of them. I read things and I don't agree with. I'm not very happy that they're pushing this kind of agenda. But at least I know that I'm seeing the different viewpoints on this thing. And the best analogy that I've ever come up with, and I hope that you feel like it's a great analogy, is if you've ever had a bunch of kids together and they're playing together and then they start fighting, and the parents were distracted at a picnic or something, or inside the house while the kids were outside the house or whatever, then the big fight occurs and the parents have to come out and try to figure out what happened. Okay? And so you come out and you ask what happened. Well, you look at the 5 websites. Okay? So that's the analogy. So you look at these kids. Okay, here's the kids. All right, what happened? Billy, what happened? Well, Jimmy hit me and blah, 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 and I didn't do anything wrong. And okay, Mary, What happened? Well, how about you, Janelle? What did you see? Well, blah, 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 and he did this and he did. And by the time you get the stories from 5 or 6, eyewitnesses to the thing, you can put together. No, it's not going to be a perfect, you know, perfect reveal of the absolute truth, but you're going to get 90% of the way there, and that's plenty good. Having 90% of the truth is great. You go forward with 90% of the truth, and you just, okay, now based on the truth, okay, we're leaving right now. You're going to get grounded. You're going to have to mow the grass, and you have to go to the hospital because these kids beat up on you or whatever. Okay. So that's a great way to get to the truth. Another great way to get to the truth is to look at the base materials. So just like interviewing the witnesses or seeing the interviews yourself, and I talked about the tornado, right, in Oklahoma. Well, watch the video, or if someone talks about a speech that Mr. Trump made, for example, and certain people are saying he said this, this, and this, and other people are saying he said this, this, and this, and there's quite a bit of discrepancy in those different viewpoints, then yes, take the time, go find the video. You can find on the internet. Just about everything's on the internet, at least for a few days. Go find it and watch it yourself, and find out whether these folks are being more truthful or these folks are being more truthful, or if the whole thing was in the middle somewhere. Okay. Same thing goes for documents. Back when the Mueller report came out, and there was a lot of discussion about it, what it did or did not say, and so on. Well, read it, and that's why back, whatever it was, a couple of years ago now, a year and a half, whatever it was, a long time ago, feels like forever. I went back and I read the Mueller report. Now, I didn't read every single word of it. I was going through the pages and skimming for, information, and then like quotations for certain witnesses and stuff like that, and trying to understand how that built up to the conclusions that Mr. Mueller and his team made in the first few pages of that report. And why I back when my daughter was born, I read the Bible twice. Because I wanted to know what the Bible said. I didn't want to know what some pastor or priest or whatever on some evangelical network or in the Catholic Church or whatever. I wanted to read the document because I was seeking the closest thing I could find to the truth, which is, again, in many cases, the base materials. So all those things can help you get to the truth, and it's important that you do that you take the time and try to get to the truth. Because if you don't have the truth, then what are you going to do? You're going to make bad decisions because you don't have the truth. And my analogy there is a used car. So a used car looks good, you like the price and everything, but then you take it to a mechanic and the mechanic tells you, oh, the transmission in this thing, I don't think it's got long for this world. It's going to need replacement or a major overhaul or whatever, and that's going to be $2,000 or whatever. Well, then the truth helps you make a decision, the correct decision about buying that car. You may still buy the car, but now you know that the transmission has likely has some trouble, and you're probably going to have to invest in that. And so you negotiate a better price, or you just say, well, that's great, I don't care, because I think the price is low enough to account for the transmission, all those kinds of things, but the right decision, the right logic and the right decision, because you have the truth. And that's the show about. the truth. For the Pro and Con show, pro and con, good and bad, for and against, by the way, truth always has those things in it. I'm Michael James Ott. Until the next show, bye for now.